everybody, and welcome back to the I Don't Know Running podcast, where we share our experiences that make running fun and sometimes not so fun. I'm Lewis, and I'm a self-admitted lazy ultra runner.
I thought you weren't going to say that anymore. I'm Mitch.
Just last week.
I'm Mitch, and I'm only here to point out Lewis's lazy ultra runner status.
My intro statuses?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just start by going back a little bit. I'm not going to talk a ton about Westerns, so don't worry for those that are listening.
We can talk about it every week.
I'd like to. There's a 5-minute segment in every episode talking about Western. No, we didn't ever get to my plan. My plan, I do have a plan. I have a plan if I stay healthy. I'll say that. I'd love to go back to Western. So what does that mean? Well, we've talked about that. It means you got to run a race. That's a qualifier. And there are 100K races, and this year that's my only choice. I can't train for a 100-miler by entry in October.
Yeah, it's like, when's the cutoff? It's
at the end of October, I think.
Yeah. So you have to run a
mid-October.
qualifying race by the end of October.
No, it's not actually the end. No, wait, it is.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It's the end of October because you enter in November, and in December, they do the drawing.
Yeah.
It's like the first weekend in December, I think, or something like that. So, yeah, by the end of October. And there's no way I could train for a 100-miler by the end of October. That's just, that's pushing it. 100K, though, that's why I thought about this. I was out running one of the last couple of weeks and thinking about like the 100K versus the 100 miles. And I thought, man, that's 40 miles difference.
But usually a qualifying 100K is harder.
Yeah, potentially. Or it's in the right places, or it's just the cutoff times. Like they're not going to give you
a ton of,
all day, Like a lot of 100Ks have the same cutoff as 100 milers.
Oh, yeah.
But they don't allow that.
Right.
Western doesn't. The race may say, yeah, you're a finisher at 30 hours, but Western will say, nope, you got to finish it in 18. Anyway, so I have a race picked out in October. Then, so that'll be 100K. And that's only if I'm healthy.
Where's it at?
California.
We're going to have to talk.
We'll talk.
Because we'll figure out some logistics on that.
All right. And it's one that is currently still open. So I'm hesitant, not that people are going to listen to this and sign up. I get that, but I'm just hesitant to put anything out there. It's a race in October. I probably have already said too much if you want to go look. But anyway, it's open.
Let me look here.
Yeah, it has spots. And that's the thing, right? When you want to qualify, you got to find a race that has entries right now because they fill up quick. But at any rate, so that's my plan is if I'm healthy and can sign up for that, I'm going to sign up for that soon. I've already got a buddy that's going to go. I was going to pace him. Well, I probably still am, but now these plans might alter that. I might be looking at something at Woodstock as well.
Oh,
to train for this 100K. So then I will also continue training and do tunnel as my 100-miler for the following year. So I could knock out 2 qualifying years of Western by the end of this year.
Right.
Because tunnels when? November?
Yeah, it's like
late. Or is it December?
No, it's November. But it's it can be chilly.
I guess I'm not concerned about that.
That one can sell out too.
Yeah, that's true. So if I was going to do that, I probably have to sign up for that right away too. That might already be full. I didn't even look at that. I was just thinking through how do I get 2 entries quick because I'll be trained or at least training for it. But I'll have a whole nother year to train for the following year.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the plan. We didn't really get to talk about that. I am excited for the prospect of the California race. I'm excited to fully commit. Like I said, I'm not there. I'm 95% right now. In the next week, I will be 100% in or out.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's good.
More on that. But in this episode, we're going to talk about a race that's not even in, well, I guess it's in the news right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're a runner, everybody, I wouldn't say everybody, that's not the reason we run, but for some, it can be the reason they run. They want to run the Boston Marathon.
Boston.
And they're changing some of their standards for 2027 of what a qualifying race is and the times for those qualifying races. To me, it's a little controversial. And that's why I wanted to do this episode.
Yeah, and I'll say, when you sent that, I pulled it up, I read it, and I shook my head and laughed. And this was so I'm giving my raw, real reaction to this. I shook my head and said, "What a joke!" That's my raw. Now I've had time to think about it. I still shake my head and go, "This is stupid."
Depends on what you how you feel about it. Like if you easily qualify, you're like, yeah, keep those slackers out, and maybe that's I'm seeing mixed reactions on it on social media as far as that. Some people think it's great.
So let's say, let's talk about what it is. So basically Boston said they are changing, we didn't say what it was. We said they're changing the qualifying. Did we say? I don't think we said.
Yeah, it's the standards. And it really has to do with downhill races. They're going right after downhill qualifying races. I don't know if you want to go through like the tiers that they...
Well, let's talk the definition of a net downhill. The BAA defines net downhill as the difference in elevation between the start and the finish points of a marathon course, which, so net downhill, if the start is at 100 feet, and the finish is at 95, that's a net downhill of 5 feet.
Which I think the part that started me looking into this, I'm thinking Boston's a net downhill.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
I'm thinking that myself. Like, hey, they're a net downhill race.
Yeah, almost 500 feet.
Not necessarily easy.
No,
I wouldn't say it's an easy race, but it is net downhill.
I was thinking about that because of this and some other, I don't know, maybe the race I was looking at doing. I thought just net downhill does not, Western States, just net downhill does not mean it's easy. You know how much uphill you can throw in the middle of a net downhill race?
Yeah.
Lots.
That one I did last year, there was quite a big section that was uphill. That sucked.
Yeah.
Especially if you've been running downhill for a while.
Oh, but it's net downhill. That's the one thing. It's funny. The first year we crewed Brian at Boston, if he says, when I was running with, he goes, if the next person that tells me it's all downhill from here, I'm just going to punch him. I'm tired of hearing that, because there's another uphill and there's another uphill and there's another uphill. So net downhill just means the end is below the start, but who knows what happens in between, right?
Right.
It doesn't make it easy. But what Boston is saying is, if we look at the tiers, they're saying there's going to be a tier 1, a tier 2, and a tier 3. And tier 1 is going to be, so there's a tier 0, I suppose, too. So anything 0 to 1,499 feet there's no effect. There's going to be no change.
No change.
They'll
follow their normal guidelines.
Yep. Tier 1, they're calling moderate downhill, is 1,500 feet to 2,999 feet. So if your race has that much fall, you get a 5-minute penalty, essentially. So if you ran a 3 hours, you now have a 3 hours and 5 minutes. So that's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
On getting into a race.
It changes, and it could hurt some races that bill themselves as Boston qualifying races.
Yeah. And I did, when I read this the first time, I said, this looks like they're literally going after REVEL.
Yeah.
I thought somebody at REVEL pissed off somebody at Boston and Boston said, well, you know what? We're going to do that. That's what it felt like.
That's what it feels like to me too.
I'm sure that's not the case. I wouldn't think. That would be pretty trivial and that would be pretty sad, but that's what it felt like. Oh, you had that. I didn't even see you had the 3 hour, 3 hour 5. That's funny. Yeah. Good job.
Yeah. There's some details in here.
Yeah. And then there's tier 2. They're calling this steep downhill, and this will be 3,000 to 5,900. Boy, that seems like a lot.
It is.
3,000 to 5,999 feet of net downhill. They are going to penalize you they're going to add 10 minutes to your time. So 3 hours becomes 3:10. Same thing. And then there's the tier 3, which we did some digging prior to hitting record. This is an extreme downhill, they'll call it, and it's anything 6,000 feet or greater. How many did we find?
0. There are no races out there now that have this, but I think it's preemptive. They're saying, hey, if you got this crazy idea that you're going to do a net downhill of more than 6,000 feet, just basically hard downhill, you can't be a qualifying race.
You're not even going to be able to qualify with that race.
Yeah.
It is interesting. We did a search and we did see the top 10 marathons in elevation state, or top 10 marathons in the United States with the most elevation loss. And this could be adjusted now. I don't know what the date of this is, but REVEL, Big Cottonwood Marathon, is 5,244. REVEL, Big Bear Marathon, net elevation loss, 5,081. REVEL, Mount Charleston, 5,078.
I ran that one. That was hard.
Oh, yeah. And you said that wasn't...
It wasn't an advantage, I don't think.
Yeah.
We got some firsthand... there's some firsthand accounts of that. Like, Eric thought he was hauling at one point, and then he got close to the finish, and he thought it was uphill. I think it was flat at that point, and it felt uphill.
Yeah, I remember you guys talking about that.
Oh my gosh, that was funny.
It's funny when you are running significant downhill for a significant distance, and let's say it's 10% down, a 10% grade, which is actually pretty steep. And let's say it goes to 2% downhill, it's going to feel like uphill, even though you're still going down. It just that difference.
My back that's when I called you on the course.
Yeah.
My back was starting to bother me, and I was like, I need something to distract me. And I called you, and I was walking at that point. I was still going downhill. It hurt.
Yeah. So that's the top 3. They're REVELs. And if I go down a little bit, I'm going to skip down here a little bit to BQ rate. Overall BQ rate, what was this? Normal race, like just a normal race, right? That's what this is, overall BQ rate. Only about 10 to 13% of all marathon finishers across the U.S. achieve a Boston qualifying time. So this means roughly 87 to 88 or 89% of marathon runners do not qualify for Boston. So you could say, is that a good indicator of the race? Sometimes that doesn't exactly correlate, but let's say it does. So let's say it does. In a normal race, you're going to have about 10 to 13% qualify for Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Normal race. So if you look at these top 10 marathons in the United States with the most elevation loss, REVEL, Boston qualifying percentage, 21%.
Yeah.
So it jumps.
So you're going right after them.
REVEL, Big Bear, Boston qualifying, 41%. REVEL, Mount Charleston, Boston qualifying, 41%. That's a huge, a huge percentage. So it does seem like that is a pretty big advantage. REVEL White Mountains. Wait, did you do that one?
I did. That was in, that one's in New Hampshire?
Yeah, New Hampshire.
Yeah, I did that one.
Yep. So that one is 2,300 feet of down, and it is a 26% Boston qualifier.
That one was funny, though. That's the one that had the uphill in the middle of the race. Like I was flying, and once I hit that uphill, I'm like, son of this sucks. And then I had to do my usual bathroom break, and that just killed everything anyway.
You weren't one of the 21% or 26%?
No, I think I did decent. That was the only one I did last year that was under 4. I had a bad, I mean, obviously with injury and stuff, I had a bad year.
Bad year. But it does show that there is a significant advantage to some of these downhills.
Like I said, I'm open. It just seems mean. It seems petty.
It seems, I mean,
because anybody can sign up for those kind of races. Anybody can put up, you know what I mean? It's like, it's out there for everybody.
It is. And it does seem to me, I don't know. It seems petty, but it's not my race, you know? And this goes back to like, if you have a race that says you got to run with an orange hat, you run with an orange hat. That's the rule, period. Doesn't matter, right? You can do what you want.
I agree with that sentiment. It's just, I don't know.
And I do think this is a little different when you have such an iconic race. You can't, they can do what they want still. Don't get me wrong. But and I guess it still is equally accessible to all. They're just limiting the races, which I suppose they've done forever. It has to be a certified USATF measured course. I mean, you think about all those things. You have to go through a process of being a Boston qualifier. I'm not 100% sure of the rules and all that, but you can't just throw a race up and go, we're a Boston qualifier because we're 26.2.
Right.
You got to have some data behind it.
I saw some videos of Don out certifying the Grand Rapids course because there's all the construction around the Y. So they got to change the course. It means he's got to recertify it.
And he's a certified measurer, so people can hire. You have to have somebody that can actually do it. So there already has been hoops you got to jump through. You do have, I mean, it makes sense on some levels.
Yeah, for sure.
But this one just seems a little bit, I don't know. It just seems like attacking, I guess, to downhill races, which, and let's face it,
and
that's part of a race. Hey, let's throw this race that's a downhill race. It doesn't have to be like, this is going to guarantee you into Boston. It's just a fun downhill race.
And to me, I think it goes after the core of people that spend money on races. It's to me, that's why it started to resonate with me, is those people that are on the bubble, you know, between barely being able to qualify to back of the Packers. They're the ones that are paying for these races. These are the people that are paying for the awards. These are the people. I think it's a slap in the face to those people that they go out and buy the merchandise of the sponsors that sponsor these races. So that's where I struggle. It's like you're kind of slapping the face of people that make this sport go. Yeah. I get it, the people that win, the elites, but the people that we resonate with, that we talk about all the time, that are just getting out there and getting it done anyway, does it take the excitedness away from Boston? Like, you know what? I don't care about Boston anymore. Like, I'm not...
Yeah, you know, you and I have also talked about this. I don't think that's ever going to go away. Could be wrong, but I don't think Boston. No, I don't think it's ever going to be like, oh, what was that race, Boston? You know, it's never. That's never going to happen.
That'll never happen. You're right.
But I do think you're right when you look at when we talked about where running is going and what the you know, millennials and what was the latest gen, whatever.
The generations. Let's just say the generations.
The latest generations are taking running to a different place.
Yep.
I do think it is going to be an impact on them. And I think that they're going to have to figure out a different way to draw people in because, you know, 20 years from now, it might be a completely different scene.
Yeah.
That said, I still think it's always going to be Boston. You're always going to have that core group of runners and it's a big core. I'm not saying it's a small core. It's a big core group of runners that are going to fight to try to go to Boston. And when you look at where the times are going, they can do this pretty easy because the times just keep getting faster. They're not slowing down.
Another thing I found interesting that somebody was telling about too, because they were talking about getting a charity entry.
Oh,
the cost of charity entries have gone up.
Yeah,
phenomenally.
That's like $8 to $10 grand.
Yeah, and are you going to be able to get $8 to $10 grand out of all your friends and family so you can go run Boston? Probably not.
You'd have to work your butt off and get some big sponsors, probably,
or just bite the bullet. I've known of people that have done that too, that have just paid it so they could go run it. But
it is kind of
changes. They're really putting themselves in a spot.
I would be curious to see too. Okay, so take one of those Revel races, Big Bear Marathon, 41%. It's a big drop, 5,000 feet. Of those people that qualified, how many ran it on the bubble? So how many of those people that finished that, of the 41%, were on the bubble? And let's see, it says finishers, 1,800. So there were 1,850 finishers. So how many of those people were on the bubble that then ended up going and running Boston? Versus of the 41%, how many weren't on the bubble? And they were fine. They just went and ran a fast race, right? Because that's the Boston qualifying number.
It doesn't mean
not the bubble number.
It doesn't mean they signed up for the race either.
For that purpose. Right. So you've got, what I'm trying to get to is I think that the number of people that they're penalizing is really small.
True. Okay.
In the bigger picture of things, of those 1,800 finishers, so now we're down to, let's cut it half and then some, so let's say 800. How many of those 800 were actually on the bubble? It might be 100, because not every one of those, because a ton of those people can already qualify, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking maybe 100. And then of the 100, how many were really, truly planning to go to Boston, or they just wanted a fast and they want to get their BQ? Because a lot of people just want to get a BQ.
Yeah.
Right?
I've had friends that have done that too. Yeah. I qualified, but I'm not going to spend the money. It's like,
so now you're kicking out of the 36,000 people that go, or whatever, that go to Boston. Now you're kicking out 100 people that were really close, and they've sought out a downhill race so they could get their, it's so petty to me. And this is where when I start putting together all the pieces and I'm going, well, that's kind of crappy. I do think that's kind of crappy. So what? And so, okay, yeah, you're good if it's 1,500 feet or less, or 1,499. I don't know. It does the impact, the number of people. Like if they were saying of our 36,000 people, 20,000 people are getting in on Revel or whatever downhill races, and you'd go, okay, let's fix this problem. But you're talking about like 100 people on this race, Well,
I'm guessing they should have those numbers. I'd be curious to see them post those numbers of how many people got in on these questionable races
and what
the numbers actually are.
I don't know, because then I say, well, that's a bummer, because then they booted out 100 people that ran a flatter race. It does suck. It's not an easy thing. There's no
good way to look at it.
But I do think it's hurting all of Revel. It's hurting Revel.
Yeah.
As a marathon, because they are geared around downhill races.
Uh-huh.
And that's where it feels like somebody ticks somebody off and they said, we'll show you. And now see what you have to do.
So the top 10 qualifying Boston races.
Yeah, this is good.
So you want to go through them, and
let's a clarity we need to make here, because I got a little confused when I was reading it through, and I went, oh, that's right. So these are the top 10 Boston qualifying races, regardless of downhill, whatever.
Yep.
These are just the top 10. Not 100% sure when, but recent. The number one is Revel. Well, the Revel Race Series. So it could be Charleston, Cottonwood, Big Bear, Mount Nebo. Those are number one kind of across the board. Like those are the top qualifying. So yeah, you're seeing, but a lot of these will be subject to, or it looks like most of, I think all those will be subject to a 10-minute penalty. That's number one.
Yeah, because they're 3,000 to 5,000 feet of elevation loss over the course of that race.
Number two, light at the end of the tunnel marathon in North Bend, Washington. It is in the mid-tier, or I don't know, what was the tier?
Tier 2.
Tier 2.
Yep.
5-minute penalty.
So I think that's the same course as like the Jack and Jill race. It seems like there's a couple of them that do that specifically just for Boston qualifiers. So that's what I've heard. I heard about these races before I heard about the Revel series.
Oh, gotcha. Then you have St. George Marathon, which, come on, that's gotta be an amazing race. Popular point-to-point, significant net downhill profile, scenic desert setting, praised for its organization and supportive crowds, will likely be subject to either a 5 or a 10-minute penalty, depending on the exact net drop.
So it must be right on the edge of what between.
But look at that race. That sucks, man. That's a race that it's going to get penalized because it's in Utah that has a lot of elevation.
Yeah.
Next up, Erie Marathon in Erie, Pennsylvania. No penalty here, but it's number 4 as the fastest or the highest qualifiers.
The highest, percentage of qualifiers.
BQ rates. Known for its extremely fast and okay. So here's an interesting thing. Known for its extremely flat and fast double loop course within Prescott State Park. So what is next? I think, well, is a double loop going to get penalized? All these things. But anyway, so no penalty there. It's the number 4. So likely that will move up because people are going to stop running Revel to go and run one that they're not getting penalized on. That's why I think it just feels like Columbus, Ohio is next. Columbus Marathon, again, no penalty there. Well-organized urban marathon, very flat course.
And then the Sugarloaf Marathon in Maine, right?
Yeah.
5-minute penalty.
Again, and here it is. It's very scenic, point to point. You're in Maine, of course. And you think, well, it's a 5-minute penalty because it drops a little too much. I get it. Whatever. Okay. Last chance BQ marathons like Geneva, Illinois, Grand Rapids Marathon has the last chance. That is last chance. Is that one? How many loops is last chance?
It's like
4
or 5 loops.
Yeah. Another loop course. Again, designed to help people get qualified because the race didn't go as planned or whatever. So this is a second chance or a last chance to get qualified. No penalty as long as they're within,
Yeah,
but those are number 7 in qualifying.
Yeah.
Charles River Marathon in Boston. Smaller local race. Known for its flat course along scenic Charles River. Making it conducive for fast times. No penalty. It is number 8. The Via Marathon.
Yeah, that's I'm catching.
Yeah, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Generally flat to net downhill, but it is going to be hit with a 5-minute penalty because it drops again too much.
This one surprised me. CIM, the California International Marathon, is going to get a 5-minute penalty.
That's crazy.
And that is a huge race. That thing's been around for a long time.
Yeah. And now all of a sudden, boom, 5-minute penalty for Boston. And it's a competitive race. Super competitive race. A lot of big names go to CIM.
Yeah.
But it's going to get hit. 5-minute penalty. And that, man, it is. I wonder how many people, I'm just curious. Do you know the numbers on how many people run that race every year?
I don't know how big of a race that is. I didn't look that up to start with.
I'm just curious if, Can quickly try to come up with that. I have the wrong thing. I should have searched. Trying to scramble. How about you talk about the next thing?
Well, I asked this question. Is this a slap in the face to those people that support it? You figure it's basically 87 to 90% of people, of marathon finishers, do not qualify for Boston. Is it punishing those people? I looked up, even the emotional investment. If you're within 5 to 10 minutes of qualifying and you go and search out one of these races because you're always on the bubble, you're doing everything you can, you're training hard, and then you try to get that little bit of an advantage, and it's like,
yeah, you lost it. I mean, yeah, again, I think I look at the number and you go 87 to 89%. So of that 87 to 89%, realistically only 10% of them have a chance. Because not ever, I'm saying today, if a race is run and you have 87 to 89%, let's call it 88, just for easy. 88%, only another 8 to 10% are within a window that could possibly qualify. Everybody else, you're not close. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now, maybe someday you could. You could, because you just started or whatever, you could get there. But on that day, there's not a very big percentage of those runners that actually can qualify for Boston. Now, I will say this is no different than any competition. So when I think of accessibility and fairness and all of that, I think, well, I can't go to the Olympics. I will never make that. That doesn't make it unfair. It's just it's a competition. It's hard to get in.
Yeah.
And so I think that I do think, for me, I feel this seems petty, and I feel like somebody at a downhill or a REVEL Series race pissed off somebody at Boston. That's what this feels like because of the number of people. If it was, like I said, if it was 50% of the entries, okay, whatever. But I don't think it's a big number.
I agree. I did look up some stats on the Boston Marathon. I was like, hey, it is a net downhill course.
Yeah.
It drops about 500 feet on a point-to-point. And I don't know I think most people that run know this. The Boston Marathon, if you run a world record marathon time on the Boston Marathon, it doesn't count. It's got asterisks by it.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
It does not count for the world.
Two reasons. Number one, because
the net downhill. But there's also the difference between point to point and not point to point. This was something I did not know when I looked it up. Is that it can't be further apart than 50%. The start and finish line.
Start and finish, yeah.
So basically, it takes any point-to-point race out of there too. So they got a double negative. So I just feel like for them changing the standards to get into that race that's already got a lot of limitations on it as far as a world record marathon course, other than it being probably one of the oldest races in the U.S., what is it?
I don't get it. I don't understand it. It doesn't make a lot of difference. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But I'm not on the board. I'm not on the, so I get that there's a lot of things I don't understand and get about the organization. I just think the number, it all comes down to me is how many people is this affecting to make this change? I think it's a small number. But that said, if I'm the person that gets booted because of a REVEL runner qualifying, it's a big number to me.
That's not fair.
It's not fair. However, I have the same, for the most part, same access to a REVEL Series race as anybody else.
There is a lot of difference. Like I was looking up some things, like just basically notes on that, about running a downhill race. A faster pace does come naturally at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
I can't say the word. The strain on your heart.
Oh, cardiovascular.
Yeah. Because early on, because the gravity is helping, your heart rate is probably going to be lower. The mental boost, you feel like you're running faster. And then it's the reality check, the quad annihilation. Like, about 18 to 20 miles in, you're going to start feeling it. The joint impact. You're going to feel it for days on those strong ones.
Yeah.
I experienced that. Eric could hardly walk at the finish line. I was making fun of him because he thought he was going to, have this just. He did get a PR, but he paid for it for a week after that, I think.
I've ran Boston 4 times, and all 4 times I've probably hurt the most after. And yes, at mile 18 to 20, whatever, 22, my quads. I mean, yeah, it feels like that. If I'm going to cramp up, that's where it's going to be.
Yeah.
I'm always ginger. So just trying, especially when I'm pushing it. The times that I've went for time there, which have been 2, I guess. Man, that's where it was going to hurt. And it's net downhill 500. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the pacing trap, it feels easy at the beginning. So you go faster. And at the end, when you hit, later on, the flat sections feel like hills.
Mm-hmm.
Foot and shoe issues or toe issues, like you're slamming the front of the shoe. Those are it's going to hurt your feet. The recovery is brutal. And then there's things that you have to you should train if you're going to do a downhill race. You should be practicing the downhill. You should be doing those kind of things where you're slamming your quads and your feet.
Yeah. Uphill, down. Basically hill workouts. Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
go to the Coke Plant Hill and run up and down.
Yeah. Yep. And you gotta, that's one of the things I think I did really well with Boston was being very disciplined in the approach to the race with the whole downhill aspect. It would be easy to go out fast, especially at Boston where the drop right at the beginning, it's a big downhill. You have to hold back because let's say you're running a 7-minute pace, easy to go 6:20, easy, just falling down that hill. And you have to dial it back. And when you're dialing it back, that's the thing is you're putting the brakes on. Yeah.
So how much do you put the brake? Like, how do you train for that? And how do you slow it down on that easy downhill without just wrecking your quads? I don't know. Every time I've done a downhill race, I have hurt for a month afterwards.
It hurts more than a flat. Flat races are nice. Flat or even uphill.
So my point is I don't think that there's this, other than the numbers don't lie. It says there are more qualifiers.
More qualifiers in a race. But again, what is the number on the bubble is what I want to get to.
Right.
It really comes down to that number.
Yeah.
Not just the overall. Because you got to do the math. Yes, more people from the overall percentage are qualifying, but that doesn't mean that's the number of people getting in just because of that race. So,
yeah, there's a lot that we don't know.
But you're right. The numbers don't lie. More people qualify in those races. Yep. So
my experience, I don't think it's necessarily that easy.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's not. But they did it. And starting in 2027, so from September 2025 this year, any race after that is going to have this penalty.
Yep.
On a downhill race. And that again is 5 minutes for $1,500 to $29.99 and 10 minutes for $3,000 to $59.99. And 6,000, forget it. You're not qualified.
That's the stats I didn't look up that I want to know now is how many, is there more qualifiers at the higher elevation loss? I tell you.
More
when it's over 3,000 feet of net loss.
Oh, yeah.
Is there more qualifiers to say 10 minutes? So we don't have the numbers on that. I could not find anything.
I think so at 3,000 to 6,000 because the top races are that. They're 5,200, 5,000, 5,000, 4,500. So yeah, from 2,000, I would say yes, from 3,000 to 6,000. Yeah, it's still as fast. But what is interesting is I would be curious to see over 6,000 because that's hard to run downhill that long with that much steepness. It becomes actually harder, I would think. I don't know.
Think so.
Maybe not.
That's been my experience.
They've probably done their homework, but at any rate, there you go. There's Boston in 2027. No more getting in on the downhills. There's a lot of races. I would like to know the number of races that this will actually impact. Maybe we'll give you an update in next episode to see how many races this actually does impact. And I'd love to see in 26, 27, what those numbers are in those races because it's going to impact them. It's going to impact them.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Those are people that are still in the sport, enjoying the sport, introducing them, giving them excitement for whatever reason, and now it doesn't. And again, Boston can do what they want. Not like part of this is like speaking out of both sides of my mouth, but I don't have to like it.
I think it's a good discussion.
Yeah.
Because you can tell us if you are for or against.
Yeah. Leave a comment. What do you guys think? What do you think? Is it dumb? Is it petty? Is it just, yeah, it makes sense and move on? Or are you super passionate that yes, and I'll bet you are a person on the bubble. No, you're probably somebody that's just in. Maybe not. I joke. Don't get too mad at me. But yeah, if you like what you heard, like, share, subscribe, do all of that. Listen to us on all your favorite listening platforms. Go check us out on YouTube and leave comments there as well. But with that, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the I Don't Know Running podcast. Be sure to tune in next time as we share more about what we just don't know.
Until then, happy running.